Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. We begin with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry about that, folks. Okay, the first order of business is to conduct a public hearing on the application for an automobile graveyard junkyard permit for AIM or AIM Recycling USA LLC, DBA AIM Recycling Arundel, formerly One Steel Recycling Inc. I think we've already approved the permit for One Steel back in October, so this looks like there's going to be a transfer of assets here to, is it AIM or AI? AIM Recycling. So does anybody have any comments with respect to the application for the automobile graveyard junkyard permit? No?
We had all of the permits, we had all of the required signatures when we approved it last month.
Right. With that then, I'll close the hearing on the application for AIM Recycling USA LLC. Move on to our regular meeting. Approval of the agenda. Anything to add to the agenda?
I'm sorry.
Anybody else?
We can change the date.
Oh, okay. The amended agenda. Is there a motion to approve them?
Second.
All in favor? Public forum. Does anybody want to bring a matter to the attention of the board that is not always slated to be discussed on the agenda? Moving on. Minutes of November 12th, 2013. Entertain a motion to approve them as prepared.
We'll move.
Second?
All in favor? Committee and board reports.
Not really a committee or a board report, but town hall will be closed Thursday and Friday in observance of the Thanksgiving Day holiday and the day after. There will be a facilities tour here at ML Day School on Monday, December 2nd at 6 p.m., followed by the RSU public hearing on the projects slated for bonding at 7 p.m. here in the library. Comprehensive Plan Committee meets on Tuesday the 3rd at 7 p.m. here in the library. EDC meets the 10th at 7 p.m. in the conference room, and the Planning Board meets the 12th at 7 p.m. here in the library.
Do you have anything, Dan, to planning board? No?
No, last
Okay.
meeting was the combination
Okay,
meeting,
yeah.
which I was.
New business, selecting to consider the approval of the automobile graveyard junkyard permit for AIM Recycling USA LLC, DBA AIM Recycling Arundel, conditioned upon planning board approval.
I said conditioned upon planning board approval.
Perfect timing, Tad.
Yeah.
The solid waste is a conditional use. The use itself isn't a conditional use in that zone. And so that's, AIM's already been meeting with Tad to get that taken care of on the planning board agenda for the next meeting.
So that didn't happen
That did not happen in the past, no, that was overlooked
with One Steel?
with One Steel, that's correct.
Okay.
So we're rectifying that situation.
So can we approve it, or do we need planning board approval, or to approve it?
You can approve it with the condition,
With the
yes.
condition that it's approved by the planning
Planning
board.
board.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
make, go ahead. I'll
Yeah.
make that motion.
Velma?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the permit application by AIM Recycling USA LLC, conditioned upon it's securing the requisite planning board approval. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor?
I do have just a quick
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to look at this, but has the CBO been over and looked at?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So we're all set to go then? Okay. Once again, all in favor then? Okay. Well,
And when will this be on the planning, will this be on the next planning board agenda?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Okay, moving on then to board discussion with town manager and town planner relative to the CMP TIF district appropriate. Thanks for coming.
Talk to people today.
Okay, so this is in regards to the CMP TIF. That has put together a presentation. Basically, what we're looking for from the selectmen, Jason, we're going to let you discuss this. If there's any votes, you'll have to recuse yourself because you're a member. But what we're looking for is whether or not the selectmen would like to bond the projects from the CMP TIF revenues up front, or if we would like to do this as a gradual expenditure. Obviously, bonding everything up front will put us in the same position that we're in now, where all of the apparatus becomes out of date and antiquated all at the same time, and you need to replace all of the equipment all at once. We're still waiting for verification of numbers. They seem to keep changing. Todd, I'm going to let you jump in there because you've been dealing with the folks at the PUC, at CMP, and these numbers tend to be a moving target.
It has moved again today.
They moved again today, since I've talked to you.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I'll let you introduce that, Tad.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. One of the interesting things about this project is that with many other TIFs, what you have is you have an ability to make a projection of what a site is going to develop at and what the costs and the value of that development are going to be. And usually in the private sector, architects make estimates on building costs, and so it's fairly easy to project what they are going to be as a project develops. What we've discovered is that dealing with the utilities is a different animal altogether, not only in a regulatory standpoint, but also the very fact that utilities are not assessed by the local tax assessor. Their value is really determined by the state. And the state, therefore, does either on an income basis or on a unit basis, determines what the value of the utility is in each individual town. Trying to nail that number down has been difficult. In fact, you probably remember the original, when we first brought this to you in 2011, for those of you who were sitting on the board, the numbers that we received were that the new 345 kV line was going to be $6 million worth of value in the town of London. And therefore, we built our projections based on that. What we've learned since then is three things, and one of them is that the project came in at half that cost in Arundel, about $3 million, maybe $3.4 million when it all said and done. Second of all, valuation is not going to be based on the actual costs of constructing that, but based on a per unit criteria that the state is going to be using. And whereas I've been talking to the consultants for CMP for a long time, today, or in the last couple of days, I've been talking directly with the assessing department, that department that's responsible for reviewing assessments that the state does. And they have been working diligently for us because they know what we're trying to do, and they're very supportive of that. However, the numbers are not turning out to be as high as we anticipated, as well as the simple fact that also the numbers that we right now use in our assessments in the town for CMP numbers, which is about $2.7 million is our current value. That's everything. And it's all lumped into the piece of land, the 103-acre right-of-way, Dan, you're very familiar with that. It's all coalesced into that. So that 2.7 is not the actual value of that quarter. It's the value of all transmission and distribution lines and facilities and land in the town. So it's an aggregate figure. It's not an individualized figure. They're pulling it out for us at my request, so we can be extremely accurate. Right now, based on their estimates, the current transmission line, which is what we're talking about, transmission line that goes up what we know as the CMP corridor, is valued at $1 million. The new KV, 345 KV line is going to be increased in value, even though it's a little bigger line, carries the same electricity, but a little better facilities. It's going to be phased in probably at $1.5 million. So when we look at it, our capture value is really going to be $1.5 million. So that's what the assessment is going to be on $1.5 million right now. Now, that may firm up, that may change. What we've noted in the last, you probably noticed the last 3 years, we've seen appreciation of equipment within that quarter instead of depreciation. One would assume you get depreciation, we've been having appreciation. But even, we can't count on that. We can't count on the value of the district to appreciate. And we can't count on improvements in the future, which during a 30-year term would probably undoubtedly occur. Probably get improvements from Maritimes, probably get some additional improvements from CMP that would increase the value of the district. We have to go with known variables right now. We have to be sure that we know exactly what we're going to get in terms of real dollars and the most conservative way we can do it. Right now, it looks like that valuation is going to be $1.5 million more than it is right now.
What's the tax revenue on that?
Tax revenue on that is going to be, I'm handing it out to you right now, it's going to be approximately at a fixed rate of 14.5, which is our current tax rate. We don't talk about that going up, right? So based on that, we're going to get about $23,000 a year.
Less than half what we originally anticipated.
Less than half. Actually, much more than that. Two-thirds. Two-thirds, yeah. We're losing a lot of money on this. Now, what I did is that all that stuff I sent you, I've redone it, showing you what we would do with those options. You remember we had 4 options that I put together of the wish list, if you will, or actually the needs list. It was put together by the fire chief. And that needs list has not changed. It's still the same as what I sent you. And essentially is, it's shown on the, let's see, yeah, that's on the program of summary of financing options. You'll notice, and that's still good, that was dated November 22nd. That list includes a fire bay exhaust system, which quite frankly right now we have a DOL problem, from what the chief tells me, that we are not in compliance in having a system in the firehouse in order to basically evacuate diesel fumes. That's $90,000. Brush truck has been something that we've been needing. That's probably overvalued at $150,000, but that's outfitted completely new equipment. UTV with trailer, rather critical. That's one of the components that we're going to need to make our argument to the state about the necessity of making these improvements to our firehouse in order to protect the CMP easement. That includes a medic skid, a fire skid, and replacement track, so this thing can also be used in the snow. The rescue vehicle, which is $200,000, that's on a regular schedule. It has to be replaced. I believe that has to be replaced in the next few years, right?
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay. We're going to need another engine, obviously. Figuring what engines are going for. Right now, you can get them off the rack for about $300,000. By the time we get around to buying one, it might be up to $500,000 fully equipped with new equipment in it. While in fire gear and training, that's a rough estimate of $40,000. And that gives us a subtotal of $1,226,500. And then there's always the issue of where are we going to put all this stuff? We really only have 3 bays right now, and we'll probably need a 4th. If it stays in the firehouse, that's also predicated on what we do with the town hall. So the building expansion at 650, which would be for another bay and probably a training room, that's something the chief was looking at as well, but that's a farther down the road assumption. So what we came up with was option 1, which would be the minimum brush truck, UTV, wildland gear for $211,000. Now, if you look at the new scenario with our much reduced revenue stream, we could still do option A if we were to bond that. If you wanted to bond that and get that equipment immediately, option A still works and could still provide what we need in order to get that equipment and bond it. So then we could be looking at the rest of the revenue for essentially for on a schedule of replacement for the other equipment over time. Option B, I'm sorry, that was option A. Option B, that was a 20-year bond instead of a 15-year bond, and you can see by the numbers we start getting into negative numbers. So we have to supplement that option with some additional cash from the general fund. And then when we get into the other options of B1, you can see we're in nothing but negative numbers because we're just not generating enough money from this program as it stands right now. So
I'll just jump in and just let the board know as they're all sitting there going, what's this all about? Friday afternoon, we had numbers that were looking quite different in what was coming in from this TIF. And so this is where the wish list of the chief included the building expansion to address where we put the equipment. I've got a feeling now, seeing these numbers, Tad, we're going to have to sit down with the chief and we're going to have to refigure what it is we're going to do with this. I mean, there's just, I did notice that the values were appreciating on the CMP corridor. Didn't realize they were tying those appreciations into the new system that was coming down the pike. So that's gonna change things drastically.
Well, we get the other building too, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
there's at least one open bay there, and Public Works is using one of them too right now, but.
Yeah.
So, I mean, theoretically, we have 2 bays there.
So we could house the equipment.
Yeah.
The issue is
Which equipment?
which equipment.
Obviously, the stuff that's not used as readily, I would say the brush truck would.
Yeah.
It would be important for the brush truck to stay near that.
Yeah, because
Interface,
the current
because-
one is a 1972.
It doesn't move very fast.
But I mean, that's something that seasonally you could change around.
Absolutely.
From time to time, you move the brush
We
truck
do
around.
it now. We
Yeah.
take it from the substation, bring it here during the.
And that literally rolls once a year,
Yeah,
maybe.
once or twice a year.
I don't think that is a huge necessity over a new ambulance.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. The issue with,
You gotta support the TIF.
exactly.
You gotta-
So that's where you sell it to the state, is that, maybe not so much the brush truck. I think the big push was gonna be the UTV with the trailer with the skid.
Yep.
Because that'll help to, rescue if something should happen on the line. But you're right, Jason, that,
Well, we could use the UTV on the Eastern Trail as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because that, and as we go forward with this, that's also considered a utility corridor because of the unitil transmission line, so that's how we can justify that as well.
So I'm not gonna say that in the application because quite frankly, that's not in the TIF district.
Correct.
And the problem with the TIF district is the monies have to be either reinvested in the TIF district to do something to the TIF district, or else they have to be put in an economic development program. Well, the whole reason of doing this in the first place was to provide some cash flow for the fire department, and make sure that some of the things that we need in the future are gonna be financed and funded, and take the pressure off the general fund to do it, and ensure there's a regular stream. And back when we were looking at $6 million of valuation, it was looking like it was gonna solve a lot of problems. Now that they've been too efficient out there, in getting the value way down, and now the state's gonna cut it down even more. And we still have the same needs, but we're gonna have less money satisfying the needs from this TIF. But to get this TIF, the argument that we're making to the state is that that in order to protect this new investment of the state, or of the CMP and Maritimes, we need to have the equipment to be able to go in there and protect that corridor against fire, against explosion. You know, if we had, of course, if that Maritimes didn't go up, we wouldn't worry about it too much. But if we were to have incidences out there, hazmat incident, a CMP line worker getting hung up in one of the towers, or having it fall or something, as you know, getting out there, and no way of getting out there. So that's how we justify the TIF to the state, by saying we're using the money to buy the kind of equipment that we need to service that corridor. And in reality, we'll be using it elsewhere, obviously, using it all over.
What's the issue with putting WETIF to Unitil corridor also?
I would not do that for this reason. Remember, you've got to have valuation added in order to get, you're only getting, the only money that
You
you're
can't
getting
do something that's
is the
existing.
increased
Right.
value.
Better, yeah,
And the
okay.
advantage of, it's still tax dollars,
Yeah.
but the advantage is, remember, these monies are now going to, during the period of this TIF, they're going to be sheltered, essentially, from inclusion in our state revenue formulas, also our school funding formulas, and our county tax formulas. So it's a benefit. Our neighbors all do it because they get that tax shelter, and we're gonna get it. We would like to take advantage of that as well and use it to take care of the pressing need of the town.
Not school funding for the district,
School funding for the state,
for the state, but not for the district.
not for the district, but for the state.
I think there's no vehicle that we could appeal, so to speak, the state assessment.
We could argue, but right now, they don't even know. This is, I regret to say that we don't have firm numbers. We thought we had firm numbers when push came to shove. And when you talk to the head guy over at CMP, he says the numbers are still soft. These were numbers he felt were reasonable for me to come to tonight's meeting. And he's gonna firm them up before the end of the week.
Can you give you the basis of how much he's arrived at these numbers that we could look at?
Yeah. Well, the issue is what the state is doing is they're transferring over from income-based modeling to basically do a single payer kind of approach. We're gonna look at what it costs for all of the valuation of the entire line, and then come up with a unit cost, probably based on distance, and then assign the valuation based on that unit cost in each community, depending on how many miles the line they have of various types, whether it be distribution or transmission. Can we go up and argue? I'd love to, sure. But we are dealing with state revenue service here.
I will say, Tad, I liked it a lot better when it was $50,000 a year.
So did I.
Dave?
I liked it a lot better when it was 80,000.
Yeah.
Because that's where we started. It was 80,000 a year, and we could take care of all these needs with that, and have a problem with money, what to do with the rest of the money. Right now, getting a rescue is going to be an issue. Rescue and the other things. So we have decisions to make. The question is also, given these circumstances, how much money. One of the things we wanted to talk about, one of the reasons I gave you such a detailed scenario, and all those payments came from the main bond bank. We wanted to discuss whether the town wanted to investigate taking an incremental approach and waiting a long time to fund some of these things, using mainly general fund, and then using this to either reimburse the general fund or apply it in part to purchases, or whether it would make more sense to bond and get the equipment now and pay the debt service. And if we had a lot more money, paying the debt service is something that kind of made sense, but right now, the debt service is equipment.
The longer you wait, the more the equipment's gonna cost.
Exactly.
That's true too. There's no way that apparatus are going down in prices. They're all appreciating a ridiculous rate right now.
I mean,
Gentlemen can tell you
all of
about
these
that.
things here, rescue vehicle, fire bay exhaust system, I mean,
There's a lot of stuff here you could remove from, we have a fire bay exhaust system. It's not a state-of-the-art system, but with minimal upgrades, it could be a fire bay exhaust system. And there's one in place. We don't need to spend $90,000 on a climate event exhaust system, in my mind.
The rescue unit's only gonna cost 200 grand?
I think that's actually on the high end, to be
Yeah.
honest with
Well, I
you.
think
What
it
did
is
the
on-
last one
it is
cost?
on.
Wasn't it 500 something like that? It wasn't that many years ago. It seemed.
The tanker truck, you might be thinking of.
We got a new ambulance not too long ago, right?
No, it's
It's
12 years old.
Yeah.
Is it that long?
Yeah.
I've been talking to,
It's supposed to be cycled every 10 years.
Every 10
Manufacturers.
years. We're in its 12th year, I think.
I've been talking to manufacturers' representatives, and we'll be looking at between 160 to 200,000, depending on.
With everything we need?
For everything we need, that's a fully equipped ambulance. So, we have those funds, and that's gonna be part of the budget discussion this year. Fire department has those funds in the capital reserve. We could do a lease purchase on an ambulance and be able to spread those payments out, hoping that this is gonna come to fruition. But, yes, a brush truck at 150,000, that's the high end, I think. I mean,
Yes.
those are things that, and these are kind of, like I said, these were numbers that we were working off when we thought we had $1.6 million coming into the till. That's changed dramatically, so that these will have to be refigured, recalculated to really, it's gonna get down to what do we absolutely need, no longer what is it that we'd like to have.
I have a question. You said right now the town is collecting taxes on 1 million.
No, we're collecting, it's aggregated. They've thrown in transmission. A transmission line is different. The transmission line are the high tension lines, and the distribution lines are the things that come down your street and deliver power. If they've aggregated all the transmission lines and the distribution lines into one unit, and plus the land, plus, frankly speaking, also Maritimes is in there too. So it's an aggregate number, and it hasn't been separated out, and I've asked them to separate it out for me.
But right now, what the town is collecting taxes on,
There's $2.7 million of value in that.
For all of
that's in-
CMP.
All of CMP.
all of CMP.
All of CMP.
It's
So-
on every street.
So if that's what we're collecting taxes on, then what's that extra value that we're going to be using for the tip? Because I understand what we're collecting taxes on now stays there, we still collect those taxes. It's that added value that's part of the tip.
And
That's
that's
the
what,
345 KV line they've been putting up this year.
And
Which
that's,
will not be activated until after April 1st.
and that's the value we don't,
That's the value which we're not having on the rolls right now.
Yeah.
And they estimate that in the first year, if they do a phased rollout of activating it, and I put that in, that's why we have a graduated system in there at the first 2 years of not full value, then we wouldn't get the full value, but the last conversation I had with Stephen was at 5 o'clock, and I couldn't make that change. It looks like they're gonna activate this year, so we can push for the full value next year, or in the first year.
They're gonna activate this year, 2013?
2014. 2014, that will be activated.
and what is that extra value gonna be?
They think 1.5 million.
The 1.5, okay. All right, so we're still
That's
gonna
okay.
be collecting taxes on the 2 point something. and the
Yeah, that's not
1
changing.
Yeah, and the 1.5
Will be
is what would go into the tip.
yes.
If they upgrade that part of the lines that's in our TIF, does our TIF value then go up? In other words, it's gonna be 1.5 the first year, maybe even the first 5 years. But if they upgraded that, would that TIF then go from, say, 1.5 to 2 million? Would
Absolutely.
that extra value go in there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's the beauty of it. That's what you want to happen in a TIF. A TIF, you're hoping for appreciation of value, both either land or buildings, so that it continually, builds. When we make the calculations, we take a really conservative approach and just say it's fixed. It's fixed factors in there, so that hopefully that will take care of any downturns, because you can depreciate too. Most buildings and land does not depreciate. And from what we're seeing now, utility lines are not heavily depreciated by the state anymore, they used to be. And I think you may remember the first time we had this discussion, I told you I didn't know what the depreciation rate was, and I spent a long time trying to get an answer to that. And the answer was, well, I guess they don't, because we just upped your value by 300,000. the next fiscal year. Perfect. Because in the next fiscal year, in 2014, the value of everything is gonna be $3.1 million.
So
Okay.
1.5 plus the 2.7.
Well, no, that's 3.1 just next year. It's already valued at that, but the way the TIF works is we get to base it on 2013. That's our 2014 value. And actually, when you make that commitment, it'll be at 3.17. So it appreciates, apparently.
So why 30 years?
Well, 30 years because 30 years is the maximum you can do. Okay, and frankly, we originally picked 30 years because we thought that was a good schedule because there would be at least one turnover of all apparatus in the town. If you figure most fire apparatus have a shelf life of 25 years, that would give you the money to be able to replace everything during that time period, however you want to allocate it. So that's why we went for the 30 years, to also give some extra fluff. Now, if we don't want to do that and want to return a lot of this to the general fund, then all we need to do is reduce down, the term. We set the term. It can be anywhere from 10 years to 30 years. 30 is the max.
So that's why I wondered why you went 30.
Yeah.
30 is the
Yeah.
most that the state will let us do.
And it's a question, but the other thing that does is it ties up that land in a TIF for 30 years. So that's 100 acres of land that's not on your menu that you can use for another TIF. Remember, we're only allowed to have 5% of the total land area of the town in a TIF district at any one time, which is about 770 acres altogether.
And how much is, if seasonal cottages goes TIF, what does that bring our percentage up to?
It all depends how we gerrymander that, and we will gerrymander
That, I mean, the entirety of the lot is 195 or 100,
Yeah.
and there's almost 200 acres there for the entire project.
Yeah, what's the total acres that were allowed?
5% of
2%. It's for any one project.
one
it's
project is
2%.
2%. We are 26 square miles times
No, I've got
600.
the-
Is it in your information pad?
It's in the
Said
application.
the quarter is only 0.67% of the maximum 5.
All right,
640 acres per square mile.
That's the CMP.
Right.
So if we add the seasonal cottages, what percentages are we?
Wasn't that a phase though? The seasonal, couldn't you
Yeah,
break
that's
that
phase.
seasonal cottage out into subsections or whatever?
Yes.
Some bites. But you're still a lot of maximum, no matter how you phase it, right?
But I would think
I don't think we're gonna
some of it will
put
fall
all
off before.
I don't think we fall 200 acres.
No.
No, we're not gonna, but no, we're gonna, no.
You're about 800.
Go around the.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna stick basically where the
The
buildings in, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of fun describing it, but
There are about 850 acres that we could put into a TIF district in the town of Arundel.
That's all.
640 acres per square mile, we got 26 square miles, so it's gonna be ballpark 850.
So there's really no,
24
doesn't seem
square
like a
miles,
great harm to put this amount of acreage for 30 years.
800 acres.
Still got enough room to play,
Yeah.
should there be other opportunities.
and we're hoping for, the intent is to, hope for other opportunities.
Yeah.
100 acres isn't a lot.
Yeah, 0.67%.
Yes.
Now, if we were to include Kate's in that, that would be a different story.
They didn't want to.
Doesn't matter if they want.
We'll just stick it in there.
But
But can we take the 23 grand a year and simply reimburse ourselves for expenditures we've made?
as long as you can document that you in fact are using that for the intended purpose of the TIF, yes. You don't have to use all, you don't
Because
have
what,
to.
we're not earning any money on money.
Right.
So why would we go borrow money in, I guess, like even at 4%? If we can pay for it and then simply reimburse the reserves or however we want to
It's
do it.
probably the best way to do it at this point.
Right.
Back when we had a lot more money coming in, and we needed to fix a number of problems, or the need was there, the town determined the need was there, we had the option, and that's why we went, I've used a lot of 15-year bonds, you'll notice
Yeah.
there. Less debt service, more upfront payments, but, certainly much less debt service. But still, some of that debt service is 70,000 just for 200.
Right.
And that's half an ambulance.
Can what you're saying is use it out of our general,
Or the reserves, or a combination, reserves, general
right,
tax dollars, pay for the, pare down
right.
what we divide, and pare that down, pay for it, and then simply reimburse ourselves over
Does that
5,
affect,
10 years, whatever.
does that affect the amount of money that we would have for a new town hall? If you're taking out of the same account, though, aren't you?
No, we've got fire
Fire
department.
department,
reserves.
so-
Yeah,
Fire
fire
department
reserve.
reserve.
I mean, I assume this is all fire gear.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let me.
And it's really accounting, when it comes to that, it's a really accounting issue, because every year I'm gonna have to fill out a TIF report to send to the State Revenue Service. And it's basically to show what the existing value of the TIF is and the current one, and then what we're using the money for. But quite frankly, the state's not gonna police us that hard, they're not gonna come and do inspections to make sure that, yes, that turnout gear there you bought with the TIF and this one you did.
And then technically, it's just a borrowing mechanism, so I don't see where there'd be any penalty for that, but I'll check with the attorneys to see if we can borrow from ourselves and pay ourselves back with the difference.
Right.
Which makes complete
Just
sense.
put it in a sinking fund.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because we could do a lease purchase
Yep.
and
Lease
pay the
purchase
cost
is
of,
about 1.75%, I think, which is like-
And
We'll
pay
pay
the
interest
cost of
also
it.
on that.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Well, yeah, certainly more homework to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, I'd
okay,
certainly
but
like
we
to
don't have
see-
to deal with the main bond bank, is what's happening.
Right.
I'd certainly like to see, obviously now with the less amount of money, we need to go back and re-scrub this, and I mean, Jason brings up a good point, this fire bay exhaust. When we thought we had tons of money, maybe it was the right thing, but now we ought to look at just maybe making some modifications to it, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I will do is I still have to identify a good palette of uses that we're gonna use this money on. And probably concentrate more on the wildland stuff, just because that justifies what we're saying. This is still unusual, but it's not at the same time. Most people are using a lot of the money for economic development purposes. Kennebuck is using theirs for fire. And it seems like we might as well just continue along with that, because the other one's gonna be more economic development oriented, so. And we have the need. We definitely have the need.
Well, thanks for the great news.
Yeah.
Can we do anything
I
tonight,
love-
Jack? It doesn't appear so.
No, I think,
Unless we, we have a sense, I think that 30 years probably makes sense, I think. I mean, I'm speaking for everybody here. But beyond that, I'm not sure what else we can do. I can see.
No, that's about it, because I think the bond issue has pretty much been taken
Right.
care of by the realities of what we
Right.
need for revenue.
So, because, this is very unfamiliar to me.
Yeah.
The difference between this TIF and the possible seasonal cottages is we're TIFing this to help ourselves.
correct,
The seasonal cottages, we're TIFing it to help them.
that's correct. With,
So we get the tax revenue, but I mean, the benefit is mostly for them, this one, right?
yeah, the CMP TIF was gonna happen no matter what, didn't matter. And so that's why this one here was a no-brainer. The other TIF, they're telling us they won't do the project unless the TIF comes through, so that's the difference between these two. The CMP's not gonna say we're not coming into town, they're coming through anyway, so it was almost done, it was fine money.
I think they're done in our town already.
Yeah, the other thing about the seasonal cottages is it's also a magnet, it's intended to be a generator of future revenues too. Those will not depreciate, and also they will probably generate more associated economic activity, and that's why that actually has more, in some ways, much more value from our standpoint for the CMP one, which is just full of electricity out there. So
Any other questions or comments that you'd like us to look into or work on? I know that I've got to see if we can borrow from ourselves. We're trying to get that number hammered down from the state and from PUC and from CMP to see what this value is going to be. We're going to obviously have to sit back down with the chief, have him have a discussion with the department to see exactly what we're going to need to cut and, what are the actual needs, keeping in mind that everything needs to be, or some of the equipment needs to just we need to justify the TIF by using the equipment for the wildland interface. But,
So we'll probably reprioritize. In the end, it's gonna be this body that makes the recommendation,
absolutely.
to the voters in no time.
And when does this need to be actually voted on?
March.
April?
Yeah, it needs to be by
March. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have the figures in hand, and we'll be able to have a discussion as to how we should move forward, so that we can get these to public hearing and possibly a special.
I would
council
think-
vote.
A recommendation to Chief Mullen would be no more wish lists.
Yeah, exactly.
Prioritize the list and say, and then we can start hard crunching numbers. Okay, the ambulance is needed.
Yep.
First, give us a definitive number on an ambulance instead of just saying $200,000. I think it would be much easier for Tad to break numbers down.
Mr. Chairman, just one other comment. One good thing to know, Jason, on this is that what we put down is not necessarily what we have to do.
But, no, I understand that.
Okay, so if we want to, if you as selectmen want to reprioritize and say, no, we're not gonna do the ambulance, we're gonna do this, or we're gonna do this or this, it's up to you. They're not gonna come and inspect, they're not gonna hold us to it. We're just making a program that we will do, but if we want to reprioritize, we don't have to get their permission. So we're not hostage to them. You are still in the driver's seat.
No, I've got a little refresher on what we've got in reserves too would be helpful. I need to see
For,
what we can pay for.
yeah. Absolutely. End of this year, there'll be about 190,000 in that reserve, but I could do reserve money for you.
So the plan is, we're gonna have.
Fire department has some reserve too.
That's the reserve.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's gonna be a January vote,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna have a March vote.
This can be done at a special town meeting, so it doesn't have, it's not a ballot, it's not a, it'll be a lot easier to
Yeah.
vote, but yes,
I
there
know,
will be a lot,
Right,
and then a June vote, and then,
right.
thank you.
It's not like we shouldn't go forward. I mean, you've got 23 grand. 23 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for doing that all 3 times, Tad.
My pleasure.
And thanks for doing it in the future.
Yeah, coming down the floor, he just changed it again on me. He just changed it again on me.
It's okay, yeah, that's why we have computers, right, so you can go and modify the application again.
Absolutely, thank you, Tad.
No sticking around for the whole meeting? No.
Yeah.
Okay,
He
moving
doesn't
on.
want to pay me for the whole meeting.
No.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tad. Item C, I'm sure just as well as all of you, there's the briefing schedule from the Supreme Judicial Court on the DuBois Livestock Inc. versus Town of Arundel case.
After March 17th, which could be sometime next November.
And much will depend on whether they want oral argument or not, and how many justices they've got, because some are leaving, and that's going to slow down the process too.
Absolutely, so that's just the time frame. I'll keep you posted as we get closer to these dates.
So in the meantime, they're just, right, they continue on working and uninspected without.
The attorneys, that was the attorney's advice to us, was let's let this play out. That's what we're doing.
Okay, update on the camper trailer temporary occupancy ordinance enforcement matters.
I have to tell you, this is the first time I've ever heard of this in my entire career in municipal government. I got a phone call the day after the new ordinance was enacted, and one of the violators on the old post road has cleaned everything up, hauled off the camper. Then the abutter said that they've never seen the property looking so good, and that was 2 days after the ordinance was enacted, so that's been taken care of. There's an issue on, I just wanted to update you that Jim Nagel has made contact with the other violator on the old post road. My understanding was the initial conversation wasn't very warm and fuzzy, but they're supposed to meet again this week. It was not today, so it may be tomorrow to go over what's going to happen in a time frame in order for that to happen. So those two situations are being, well, one has been rectified, the other is being worked on, and we've received one other written complaint that Jim's gonna go out and investigate. So voluntary compliance is my new best friend.
Okay, input on preliminary town hall architectural.
I emailed you a pretty poor PDF. If you want to pass this around, this is the actual, I couldn't make color copies. I can make you black and white copies of that if you'd like. These are the preliminary plans that Ryan drew up based on the space diagram. Do you want to print, you want a copy of that?
No,
Dan?
I was gonna have you send me the file and print it out on our plotter at work, that way we have it.
Oh, I didn't think it. So that's the exterior of the building. The interior, there were two changes. You can see when we've added a man door to the real property office. Initially, there was just a window there, so you see, Phil, on the bottom where that little red door's drawn in. We needed access to get into there. And then where it says general assistance office, that's going to be actually the general assistance meeting room with an additional, like a flex space for people to use for meetings. And Wendy will spend her time in the administrative area, which is in that secured area where you can kind of see the lobby. Beyond the lobby is where the clerks and treasurers will be working. Space-wise, it seems to be sufficient. I guess that was the major concern, was space of the meeting room. Simone seemed to feel that that would be adequate for the needs of the town. So if there's any comments, specific comments or questions, I'll take them now so I can forward them to Ryan. If not, they will be here on December 9th at the Selectmen's meeting to make any changes that you would like to make. Will is going to give me a price on doing preliminary site plans for the 2 lots that we're currently looking at, plus the possibility of a third. I had a resident offer to me, we haven't had a meeting yet, it was late last week, she offered the possibility of her property on Route 111, which is directly across from the Hill Road. Her justification there was we could force the state of Maine to put a red light on 111. But there's one other lot that's been thrown out at us. So I'm waiting to meet with her. But initially, right now, I told Will to give me a price to look at the Bergeron Drive lot and the Limerick Road lot. So he's done a little preliminary, he's gone out. It's going to be nothing in depth. It won't have all the cut and fills and the engineering data. Initially, it's going to give people something to look at to site that building on so that we can have an idea of where the building will go. He'll have a price for me in addition to the contract price, and I will bring that into you to have approved at the next meeting as well.
Now, did you say the general assistance Wendy's office was going to be moved?
Yeah, well, the general assistance office is going to be for general assistance clients to meet in, and then Wendy will be working with the clerks behind the reception desk.
Okay.
Where the
So we're
clerks
looking
are.
here and then.
Okay, but she will have that to meet with
Absolutely, yeah.
clients.
There's 4 workstations behind the clerk's office, and then where that general assistance office is, there's a little private meeting area, private waiting area so that it meets the state requirements.
Should there not be a conference room in there somewhere,
We can,
besides the community room?
well, the general assistance office would be a flex space where we would use it as a conference room if need be. And if there were a bigger meeting, we would move it out to the town hall, to the meeting space.
You also have where the planner and the CEO, you've got some
Just a
space
good open
there.
space there.
Is the assessor there too?
Yes. We're currently looking at approximately 6,400 square feet, which if you do the math, it's a number bigger than I think the public is willing to entertain at the moment, but we're going to see what we can do about that.
Jason, you expressed concern about the size of that community room. Do you think it's still too small?
We can easily mark it off right here. We can just mark
Yeah,
off the
okay.
squares.
35 by 30.
These are 1 foot
Very
squares, right?
I wish I
Yeah.
had a tape measure with me.
Yeah.
These are 1 foot squares, so.
I don't think it's as deep as this room. It's probably as wide as this room, but it's certainly not as deep.
Who's good at pacing things off?
Just count the squares.
It's good at pacing. It's not.
These are 1 foot squares.
Just not pacing things off. Those are 8-inch.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to the front of the table.
Yeah, they're not talking squares.
There are 12?
I don't believe you want to take them.
Yes, they are.
You got a tape in your truck, Stanley? Well,
They're 12-inch
yeah.
squares.
Yeah.
Pretty down near it.
Yeah, they're 12.
Is it sitting right on the seat? I'll go grab it for you. Stan's gonna go grab the tape measure.
I don't have them. 9 still.
They usually have longer.
My sneaker is 12 inches. So, it's 10, 11 tall, 13, 14. I didn't know that. Here's 40 right here.
So it's not that deep.
So it's what, 30 what?
With 38.
38 by 35.
38, 11 and a half, so say 39.
So right here, so approximately right here.
Yeah.
And that's the back wall there, Dan?
Yes, yeah, he started,
Is that the back wall?
Dan, you started back here, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep, start from the back.
and it's 34.9, which is,
About 36, it's 36.
Just in case you're wondering, that's how they measure things at Pratt.
yeah.
I said that's how they measure things at Pratt.
Yeah, it'll fit.
It was better than my pacing.
There's airplane engines as well.
You should see the tolerances.
I put machines in place, so
Is that big enough?
give or take an inch or
When you
two.
have a town meeting and you have a good turnout for whatever reason?
How far from that back wall are you planning on putting the desk? I mean, I can see it
2 or
drawn
3
in
feet.
there.
Well, there's gotta be room behind, so, 3 or so feet from the wall.
Closer than what we're sitting.
Yeah, close enough.
So that room's gonna have to get bigger. Stan's gonna bring us a tape measure to get a better feel, not that I'll trust your feet. Dan.
No, but I mean, I would tend to think that you'd want it the size of this room right
Yeah.
here. Nothing smaller than this, room.
Yeah.
So say we were sitting back here, sitting on this line right here. Yeah, I still think we want,
Bigger.
yeah.
That's the easy part of the building, to
No, we
change.
anticipate the town getting any smaller
No.
in motivation.
Yeah.
And we, a while back, I said we're looking at 100 years,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Around the world, so.
One of the reasons we wanted to stop being dependent upon
Yeah,
using other people's properties.
Yeah, would that be big enough to keep holding it?
I said yes.
Go to the trash for the deviation this year.
You gotta walk around.
No.
Lay it right on the
Jeez, they're talking there.
Lay it right on the floor.
On the floor, they said.
It's 25. So you'd be right there. So by the edge of that table. So now we need bigger than that.
And then this way, the edge goes at the front of the table.
We all pretty much said 36.
No, I think no.
no, that would have been, we've been sitting
Over there,
in front of this table.
Yeah.
Where we'd be sitting.
So let's,
With
so
a
this is
foot
about
space
42.
Behind us.
This is about 42 this way.
All right? So you're about 42 that way and
I'm gonna say that's 40.
36.
And another, did you add another foot to that bookcase?
And another, so 37.
Yeah.
There goes that thing.
They're cheap enough, we don't need to mix up bills.
Yeah,
Look at it, just northern, they're about $3 a piece.
yeah. So it looks like
So
you need to add
I would
a couple
say
feet
10
back.
feet in
Yeah.
length, probably. I mean, let me have them look into that and get us a better size.
Yeah,
room.
what if you squared that off with the, the storage room? See where storage is? I mean, I don't know how much that space is right there. What would that do?
In the back corner store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the back one
And
still.
an 8 to the 4.
That's about 10 feet, close to 10 feet.
Yeah,
And they do have plenty of jogging there.
Here.
Yeah, as well as in the front.
yeah, so that,
Yeah, so the jog in the back, if you went,
Access here.
you went even in the back,
Yeah.
Assistance and
and then out,
So
yeah,
go back and then out.
yeah.
yeah, if they squared that right off, that would,
That way you make the storages back to back.
yeah,
We get an occupancy number on that as well, standing room and seated.
So 10 feet, you give what, 2 rows of chairs?
10 feet,
2
2 rows. Yeah. 2 rows plus the
That's
back of another row, so you wouldn't get that third.
2 rows and standing.
Yeah.
Well, back to my theory of recycling these trusses. Those trusses go another
Oh, that,
10 feet beyond this wall. So that would give you a room that's 50 feet wide,
and they go another
and you could probably.
6 feet that way probably.
Well, they
Oh,
stop.
no, they stop right in, they
They
don't
stop
go in
in
that
the
hallway.
hallway. And you could probably stretch these trusses another 2 to 4 feet apart.
Yeah. All right, I'll bring that back to those, to him, to
So that'd
Ryan.
be 50 by, almost 50 by 50.
That would be a nice,
Yeah, that's
that would be a nice,
probably big enough for everything.
spacious.
yeah, I'm thinking of from a nostalgic, you know,
transition.
yeah, they're using the part of the old mill, the old day to, some people think that, I don't know.
Any concerns or comments on the floor plan itself, the layout, workflow?
What do the girls think?
They seem to like it.
What about from a voting standpoint? Like,
Vote-
do you think that whole vestibule area would just get congested and
On,
bottleneck and?
on the,
Coming into voting.
coming into the vote, we would use the exterior door
The side door,
to exit and then come in through the vestibule, so there'd be a flow right through.
yeah. So they'd only be using probably half of that room for
Yes,
voting.
yep.
Is that storage big enough for Simone? For everything she needs for voting, to keep voting machines and everything in that storage area?
They wouldn't stay directly in that storage area. The voting machines would stay in the vault because they're required to be. They have to be secure at all times when they're not in use, so those would have to go in the vault. The storage area would hold the accordion type voting booths and tables and chairs that we need for the room.
That's big enough for that?
I believe it is.
You get that, you get another storage area out here.
Yeah, but that storage area is for the supplies and everything else that they need to run the office.
How big is, we have a vault today?
We do have a vault.
How big is the vault today?
It was
Not that
Not
big.
big.
10 by 20, I believe, when we measured that. So a couple
Yeah.
100 square feet full of shelves and
Yeah.
stuff everywhere.
With a piece of styrofoam and wood on it that you stick up in the window to block the window.
This vault isn't that big.
Yeah.
They don't have integrated storage though, so it'll be a little more useful. Right now, they just stick shelves and file cabinets wherever they need them.
And what about the real property open area?
Yeah.
Is there room there for, like, you know, today we got file cabinets, and where's all that stuff gonna go?
We're planning to integrate that into a desk system in the center, kind of like they do at most of the new engineer and architect's offices. They have workspaces that have the flat files below. And
Otherwise you can open up and have.
exactly, and that's part of what they had planned to do.
Okay.
Sebago just remodeled their, well, they actually just moved their headquarters and they did a really good job with that. They've got a lot more space in a lot less area.
We only have 2 people in that office.
No, there will be a third.
Oh, okay.
How often you guys use the shower?
Never. That's in case you decide that you want to have the building as a shelter, in case we want to use it as a shelter. No, we never. We go to the fire station if we really get that dirty.
Really? They use that one?
We had an employee who lost their well pump this week, and That was part of the conversation, is you didn't have to come shower in the sink, you could have used the shower at the fire station, and they said, when's the last time that's been used?
Where's the generator going?
It's used a lot.
Yeah.
And the, sorry, utility, there's something mechanical, right
Yeah, but you don't put a whole house generator inside. Yours isn't inside, is it a fire station?
The generator
It would
itself?
be outside.
No,
The
it's
generator
outside.
itself will be
Outdoors.
outside.
Yeah.
Okay,
here.
right out
Plenty
there.
of corners.
Can't put it
Right
inside.
by the employee entrance.
In Alaska, you can.
Well, you don't want to live long.
Yeah.
Well, they build nice chimneys on it.
Is that roof gonna be big enough to cover it with, solar panels?
Oh, if we could get it sighted and aimed in the right direction, there's plenty of room for that.
Depend on, that's a good building.
Well, I had to flip the other one.
It depends on how many years your payback is.
Any other immediate questions, comments, concerns? Send these back to Ryan, and we're trying to get some occupancy numbers on the rooms and see how much bigger that much bigger looks.
Could we consider full basement?
That's been part of the conversation, but that we won't come. The problem with full basement is if we do get any federal money, you have to have it handicapped accessible, even if it's not accessible to the public. So there'd be an elevator from ground level to the basement, is what Ryan is telling me from his research that he's done on public meeting spaces like this.
That's what, 50,000?
50 or 60.
Yeah, and then you get your certifications.
What if it was a daylight basement?
If it was a daylight basement, that'd be a different story, because we could have separate access, and then it wouldn't be,
Suppers and stuff
yeah,
wouldn't have to be here, they could be there.
yeah, absolutely. And if we had the right piece of property that allowed us to do a daylight, and we could have another access drive to the back of the building, then we don't need the elevator. You just need to be able to get in there in a wheelchair, or a walker, or on a cane.
Or you could actually shrink the building footprint and do a daylight community room under the entire building. You know, and then you have a community room that was 80 by 50
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
You know? And then, like you said, you could do dinners there, and then you could take this whole wing off of it.
Let me ask him if that's possible. We just need, I think we only need 2 means of egress still anyway, because there's no staircases, so you just need to be able to come in and come out.
Providing a piece of property, you can put it there.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's key.
You definitely need lights.
If you try to do daylight,
You can't force daylight.
if you try to do a basement area, your first level would get up, so you need the elevator anyway.
If you don't have the right
I
lot,
think
or you
if you
end up
don't
with,
have the perfect lot,
yeah, or you end up with big concrete abutment walls, and it turns into a real mess. Let me run those by Ryan, see what he has to say.
We have to lose back and forth about 45.
yeah,
Put skateboarders over
I
there.
know, yeah, exactly.
Concrete escape.
We'd have our own skate park.
Okay. Next item is, I guess you already told us that you're gonna
Yes,
be meeting with
on the ninth.
Ryan, okay.
It was going to be on the 2nd, but the RSU was having that meeting, and I thought that we wouldn't try to find another location, we'd just do it on a different date and offer that out to the public.
Okay. Questionnaire to be put in the next arrow apparently, and
Yes.
if it has any suggestions, additions,
Additions.
rephrasings, et cetera.
Deletions, as I said, right now, to go with a mill rate impact on this is, I think, shooting ourselves in the foot, because there's budgetary measures that can be taken to reduce the impact to the taxpayer, we still don't have a solid figure as to what it's going to cost, so I could give them a mill rate impact, but that would probably scare away more people than would benefit us. And that's why I went with the kind of the comfort zone. I have a feeling most of them are gonna come in from 5 to 750, and then we'll have to go back and tell them, you know, probably why that couldn't happen. But if there's any additional questions you can think of, any additional information I should place out there that came to the top of your head, I appreciate that. If not,
On the first part, I think I would, in your bullet points here,
Yeah.
I think I'd make reference to the fact that the GA office and the codes offices are, need attention here.
okay,
If anybody, the GA's office by statute and the codes office is just,
inaccessible.
no, it's just,
No explanation for
yeah.
it.
And
Where is Combs and Planning?
Here.
in their real property. And then if they have private meetings, they'll meet in that flex space. Was that all you had?
On the,
On this?
on the narrative you
Yeah.
have here, in the work, does anybody else have anything in the narrative? Add, subtract, something you don't think is, what is he emphasized? On the questionnaire, I mean, I would make just a couple of suggestions, and it's just my suggestions, so. On the third question, is that I was thinking in the future, I would put it in the long term.
Okay.
Where do you believe the best location for a new town hall would be? And then maybe you want to put among the following, and let them tick off if they choose to do so.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm not in the construction industry, but, 500, 750,000 is, I don't even know why we have that there. That's not gonna happen. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna do anything for less than $1 million, are you? I mean,
So,
Not that size.
not that size.
we'll go 1 to 1.5, 1.5 to 2, and 2 plus.
Yeah, I mean, let's be realistic about the number. Not what the mill rate is, I mean, that's what you're looking at.
Do you think I should put in that request the dollar figure that we have in reserve for the
I would,
town hall building?
I put that question, do you favor a new town hall? And rather than say what you perceive fair cost of construction, I think, how would you be willing to support? How much are you willing to support in construction costs, in parentheses, land building? Because that, depending upon which site is chosen, that could change. And then when you have down here the mill rate impact,
Yeah.
in several factors, I would include interest, land cost, use of designated and undesignated balances or fund balances, and the other things that you have there as well. All of which, as you said, are moving pieces that you'd be able to try to minimize the tax impact. That's all I kind of had.
Anyone else?
I'm afraid that makes sense.
You gotta have something, Jason. You know, there's the question and answer.
Huh? No, I think broad is better
Yeah.
at this stage, I really do, I guess. Just get a feel for the town to see if they mow it.
That's right.
Well, when you get it in the mail, please fill it out, send it back. All of you. Done. Dave?
Yeah, that's a, gonna put that, there's an arrow coming out here pretty soon, right?
Yes, there is. Coming out, first week of December.
And then these also gonna be available at town hall?
Yep. And at the January election as well, which will be kinda late, but I'll pick up some stragglers, see what the stragglers have to say after the vote.
Yeah. Pretty much this, another $2 million. Item H, treasurer's report. We got any questions about the expense summary report or the revenue summary report?
We're on track. Excise tax coming in nicely. New vehicles, buy new vehicles, thank you.
Just by vehicles.
Buy vehicles, period, exactly. New ones, do it better.
We don't care.
Just keep
Buy them
registering,
better.
folks.
Doing my shit.
Thank you, Phil.
I did my share last week.
Don did his share, thank you. Velma, Dan, Jason, everybody's done their share.
Yeah.
Lately.
Yeah, 3 vehicles from him the last week.
Okay, we need a motion to
So
approve.
moved.
Buy a new vehicle.
Yeah,
Motion's been made to approve the EP and payroll warrants. Any seconds?
Second?
All in favor? There is a vote. It's, here, Phil.
Right there. Thank you.
Okay, in old business, we have information from Androscoggin Bank.
Not yet been received, so as soon as I get that, I'll bring it forward to you. We're working up all the details and working on all the templates, no cost to us, but I'll let you know as soon as I have that.
That has to do with credit card and debit.
Yes, and I took
Just
away
so
the
everybody-
Andro pay so that you like that term.
Sure, Androscoggin likes it, that's okay.
Jason, this 17,000 for Stryker, is that for the,
Yeah.
All right, stretch. Time to earn
It's beautiful. It's nice too.
As he said, there's work.
Oh, I've seen it in action because there was an accident right outside of town hall and it worked pretty slow.
it. As long as you can find your button. I'm doing one of those with a 300-pound person on the stretcher. Where's that button?
yeah,
Yeah, December 9th, we will be discussing the seasonal cottages. If I may, under other business and adjournment, Mr. Chair, I believe that's why Stan's here. I think Mr. Kaczynski, did you want to speak tonight, Mr. Kaczynski, or are you just visiting with us?
Just a few questions, maybe somebody could answer here or help me out with.
Go ahead, Stan.
All right. We got, I'm sure you people are all aware of all the problems we've had here in town. 3 million acres that's gone on since 1991. Just continuing, it's gonna come to a stop. We have these, building permit applications, as long as I can have access and read them. I'm not an attorney. But I was questioning Jim Nagel today. We have a removal of trees on the Smith property.
This is a buddy your property?
Right.
Okay.
This is dated 11/16/10. One of my primary bitches is the Heavily Butters. I asked Norman Clodier, he never got notice. I mean, do what you want to do over it, I don't care. This permit here consists of removing, cutting, thinning, and removing trees, right?
Standing dead trees.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So over here, I guess there's an ordinance that says no more than 40% of your property can be cut. Town ordinance, whether it's a run over the state or whatever. We have down here approximately 1/2%, am I correct on that, 0.05?
0.05, yeah.
That's 0.5%. Now over here, on this page, you get $500 worth of valuable work. Whatever, if you can find someone to do that, that's fine. We have Kenneth King, I think everybody's aware of who this gentleman is. And then down here, as we're answering these questions, okay, we'll come to number 16.
Okay.
Is that part of a subdivision?
A recorded subdivision.
Recorded subdivision.
I don't know.
Phil's been here, Ellen's been here. You own land out back of this. This is 1934 subdivision, Mary H. Brown, that butts my property. I got copies, everybody's got copies of this. Why would you answer it no? Falsification on this. They're running down, okay, Whale. Book 11, page 28, May 1934. That's not your deed. You had that deed to you in 1990. Who's checking these applications to see if there's falsification or error? Now we'll move on further.
Can we back up and can you bring me up to speed? I'm not even aware of where you're even talking about.
Campground Road.
Campground, all right.
Yeah, Bob Brown's old pit. One of his old pits that got established in 1967.
Okay,
Okay, 21 acre
Just
parcel.
as you go up the first hill,
yeah.
right on top of the hill, he's on the left.
Opposite
You
side of
got
the
an
trailer.
excavator in the dooryard or something?
Yeah.
So the pit's after you on the left, same side?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
all right.
And then we'll come down to, over here, notices of applicant, okay, read whatnot. Now we have a George Tufts. He's the contractor? I thought Kenny King was the contractor. I think it also states when you start reading number 5, what it states. That we're gonna follow the town ordinances and state rules.
When was that application provided?
11/16.
And,
2010.
and then we just continue on with it. So there's an awful lot of confusion and everything. But I think anybody sitting here in this building tonight, regardless of who you are, we have an approximate total trees.
This work was done in 2010?
And, God almighty, 30,000 trees. I would suspect there's quite a few trees, 30,000. You have that many in your property, Smith? No. So they up the number, reduce the number, they do this, they do that. I asked Mr. Nagel today about clear cut. It says on your clear cut application, you get kind of eerie. I don't issue those. Sorry, I made a mistake. Reread it. But I'm also asking them, okay, what is this? The house is on a campground road? What is this? What is this? What is this? What are you making up? I have nothing here to go by. I understand what it is, but I mean, I'd never admit to it, okay? Now, this clear cut, supposedly, Jim Nagel says he cannot go up Brown's Lane to inspect it. I understand through a very good friend of mine, an old timer, that if I call a DEP, we're gonna raise some hell in this town for clear cutting that lot. Plus, he went above and beyond because he thought he knew he owned, not him, Mr. Tufts. He thinks he owns the world.
Did he cut trees on your property? What's the
No,
complaint?
mine.
What's the complaint? Is there
The
a,
complaint is he clear cut.
on
He's
his
clear
property?
cut.
On his
Not his
property?
property. He don't own nothing. That boy don't own nothing. So,
So the complaint is there was trees cut on someone else's property?
Irene Smith's property.
right, clear cut, not select. You look on a satellite, okay, on Google, come on down on 142 Campground Road, take a look at that great big blotch. Very visible. I thought that was a pit. It's not a pit's over here. It's a clear cut over there. Very
What
visible.
are you- what are you looking for this board to do, Stan?
I'm just wondering if there's any remediation to be done on this. I mean, if you go in and flash at something, how come Jim Nagel, if he issued this permit, he can't go over there on Brown's Lane, take a look and say, hey, you're in violation?
Well, I'm not sure you can go on the property without getting permission to do
You're on
so.
my property.
You can, well, you can invite them off.
Nobody's ever been denied, nobody from the town that has anything to do with me.
No, I'm not
Ever
talking
be
about your
denied on
property.
my property.
But, I mean, for him to go on the property uninvited, he'd have to go to court and get a warrant essentially to do that.
In other words, these people can just run rampant.
Well, no, I mean,
Cause trouble for everybody else, and then just run rampant at what they wanna do.
You know, certainly shouldn't have people violating the ordinance or performing work beyond what they represent to.
Right, but what if
The
they
code
did?
enforcement officer, they did.
They went above and beyond, I don't know where the rest
Well, I
of the
understand.
paperwork is. Excuse me. As for that subdivision that they said no to, right here, Tom. Very plain. Got their copies of everything at home. 1934 subdivision.
Did he know when he bought that property it was part of that old subdivision?
Who's that? Which house?
Whoever owns the
Irene
lot.
Smith.
That was,
Her husband, which is deceased,
yeah?
Gary Smith, is Andy's son. Everybody knows Andy Smith. So he's gifted down, gifted down, gifted down. Okay, they got an arrow, because nobody could ever find this. Every surveyor since I've been here for 32 years has come to my corner pen, and they'll survey on 1A. They're looking for that old subdivision.
Stan, just the 11 and 28, that's the subdivision recording information. The plan, I should say.
Right. So why?
Somebody made a mistake here. They put down, they didn't put this book page number, they just pulled the plan book and page number.
Right, but this is what is implied right here, Tom.
I mean, that's correct, apparently. I mean, I don't know, I've never seen it. but-
Yeah, but that's making the,
And it's a 1934 plan, so somebody doesn't understand what this information requires, but I don't know whether it's particularly pertinent to, if you got the map and lot number and you got the correct zone, that's more important to us.
right, what I'm saying is, why are you gonna say no if it's not a subdivision? Don't you know what you're sitting on for land?
Well,
Yes or no?
the thing of it is too, the land was subdivided, but the subdivision statute wasn't even in effect in 1934. Didn't come into effect in 1971.
But just as long as they're not in compliance with some,
No, I'm saying what
Some
people
rule,
refer
okay.
to it as a subdivision, that's not a subdivision for purposes of state statute. So they didn't have a statute. But it was a subdivision of land, but it's not a subdivision.
Legal stuff.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
statutory.
Right.
Well, that's why-
Everybody throws those terms around all the time, drives me crazy, and confuses that.
right, I mean, there's always a lot of confusion.
There's not a planning board approval.
But that's for this also, okay, I mean, anybody wants to do it, I already gave Beth everything she needs to work with to correct the town maps. That 1012 never existed. I have deeds in my place from 1848 when I got my deed.
Mhm.
Pretty nice to have. And people out back, they had their survey done. They found an error because back in the day, the age used to measure with chains and links, correct?
Yep.
But somebody made a little mistake, kept carrying it forward, kept carrying it forward. And we had a surveyor go in there, and probably pull it right off the town maps, which is very inaccurate. You gotta look it up and see what the surveyor is, and then we did it for him. He just went with a wheel or something, said it's 1012. There's your pen. My survey done in 1991 by Oak Point Associates, Charlie Cheats, is still on the link today. I refuse to walk away from that or challenge anybody with it.
Mhm.
He told me I lost 102 feet. So what? I'm just telling you. He says it might be on the other side of the campground. It was never there. He's never there. Main Street was go up there and like clear cutting somebody else's land and everything else. These are,
So we've had an issue before where there was clear cutting down, right on Route 1, the nursery,
Yeah.
and how did that?
I don't know how that got resolved.
That was before my time.
Oh, yeah, that was
Typically.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm,
Troy owned the
yeah,
property.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. But
We don't need the last names. No, clear cut is a very serious issue.
Yeah,
And what they took out there, okay, is more than 40%.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that, but I'm looking at timber
And
harvesting right
30,000
now.
trees, I'm willing to count that myself, okay, I don't have 30,000 trees on where I'm sitting on over there. They don't have it, they knock every branch off every tree that they ever had counted it. 30,000 is a lot of trees. So this is falsification right from the get-go, coming up there, okay, snow and gym and everything else. It's not right.
So did they submit a forest management plan? Because you're allowed more than 40% if you submit a forest management plan through the planning board. I don't recall.
Forest management, I think, is when I told people out back, okay, to hurry up before buckwheat went in there with the back outside of stomping it. To get a tree specialist in there and whatever, okay, and find out.
So no,
what-
there's no forest management plan, nobody would.
Is that a company, Buckwheat, individual, what is that?
He's a Holly man, he's very tough. This boy's threatened my life twice in one conversation, that he's gonna kill me. And not him, and not anybody else that does that. And I don't do it before. Ever since 9/11, you never make a threat to somebody and say you're gonna kill them. Don't do that.
Before 9/11.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you know, that more or less pertain.
Anytime.
When you're going, you know, either town officials, or you're going to a president, and this and that, okay, they'll say I have to read it right there. But as of 9/11, you don't make that statement to anybody.
So what do we
So
do?
everybody plays checkers, I play
It's
chess.
unclear.
I'm studying at board in this current time of my movement is now, this is Texas Hold'em, and I'm all in.
Okay, well,
No, I'm all
this
in.
is, I mean, the CEO ought to be able to go look at this. I mean,
That is a public right, well, no, I'm not gonna state that it's a public right of way. You know what, I know,
Yeah.
okay? But this is his duty, this is why he's hired. Is that why we have a code enforcement here today? Any more than we have Ted, okay, as the planner, and you people as the selectmen, okay? And Todd, I think of him as a gentleman compared to what was here before. Because he has to answer, he's gonna have to answer, and I don't know if you people have documentation to this or not, how many complaints have been made next door to me and stirred that town up as bad as he did.
So
Let's have, you talk to Jim about what's going on, maybe you can report back to us.
Yep.
We'll take a look. and see what's
I want to
going on.
bring this to somebody's attention, okay, all the falsifications. And then on the second one, on the other one, it'll just be a quick one here, Tom, okay, then I'm out of here.
All right.
This one right here, gone to the after the fact. Okay, he had a contractor go in there which didn't sign it, which I know who it is, and I mean, you know, we don't care about this, okay? George Tufts is the owner. We pulled a transcript, okay, from the court, who we just sent to the Individual District Court. Could you purge yourself, you and Mrs. Smith? On more than one count.
Okay,
It's an answer.
we'll have a look at this and.
But I don't think that's right. You don't go in there and just clear cut. And on top of it, I'll go on somebody else's land and say, I own that, you didn't. No. This, you know, if these people can get under control, what I'm not buying here is George Tufts does not own anything. He didn't own the land out back. Rebecca Tufts did. He's not on a deed. He's not on nothing besides his Harley. I don't know why anybody here in this town allows a resident to sit there and stir up this much shit and complain, and everybody just kind of like shakes. Now, anytime Irene Smith wants to be here, there, in court, wherever, state it. She is the landowner.
Where the trees were cut.
Yeah, she owns the land. He doesn't. But he's the mouthpiece that gets everybody rattled. I don't think that's right. You own the land, fine, let's dance. Otherwise, in that shit, you out. You're just a tenant here, Jack. That's
Okay,
the bottom line. He's calling the shots, he's signing this, it is not right. He's not the contractor, he's not the landowner.
okay.
You'll have Jim pull that and check that.
Make note of that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, I just soon lay back, do my thing, try to appease everybody here. I've got nothing to hide, I told everybody, I told Todd, I would tell anybody on this board, everybody in the town of Arundel, any state, federal official, anytime. I don't have to be there. Go. you're not denied. Because I'm hiding nothing. Beyond that,
Others are
okay,
not so accommodating, Stan.
beyond that, like the neighbors next door, stay away from me, stay on your side, leave alone.
Okay,
If you check that out, I'd highly appreciate it.
we'll have Jim look into it, and we'll be sure somebody gets back to you on these things.
We'll do
Thank you very
so.
much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
And I hope
paper.
you get more than one use out of that tape.
Hey, if you ever lose it, you need one, Stan, stop by, you know where it'll be.
I got a box with them, I told you they were $3 a piece of North.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you, gentlemen, and ladies.
Any other business?
Thank you for that, Todd. Thank you very much.
Glad you
We
were-
appreciate that.
Now, it's still at 4:30, he might end up paying us a visit.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay. So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?